Top donator ended this IRL streamer's life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a video by Yatozi. This is so sad, but let's see what this video is talking about. Let's get the context and everything about it.
This streamer just finished her stream like it was any other day, but 30 minutes later, her top donator ended her life. This is just one of those awfully tragic stories, which unfortunately aren't even anomalies anymore, as this pretty recently happened in Japan as well. But a Korean live streamer with over 300,000 followers went live for one last time. 30 minutes later, she was gone. And the person responsible wasn't some masked stranger in the shadows. It was one of her biggest donators. This man spent over $70,000 on her streams, a man who pretended to be some tech CEO. And the streamer's name is Yunji A. And I really don't enjoy covering stories like this, but I think they do matter, especially for anyone who lives their life online or makes their money there. So Yoon, she was 27 years old. She was a growing influencer, a live streamer, and even an actress with big dreams. She streamed on TikTok and other platforms, building a loyal audience. And as of October 2nd, her last post included the announcement of her passing. Because on September 11th, 2025, she finished what could have been a normal stream from Yunji Island. She logged off, probably thinking about her future collab streams or dinner plans, but within 30 minutes, she was attacked. Hours later, her body was found on a remote mountainside in Muju County. Police say that she was strangled, and I saw the sun-covered images of where her body was found, and I'm really not comfortable showing those here. But sadly, they're out there on the internet. Just know, it was very obvious someone tried to hide her. The guy who did it, his name is Choi. He's a man in his 50s. Online, he called himself Black Cat.
You know what? I don't know the context of this story, but I can guarantee you this dude, this cornball that took the life of this young streamer, probably thought he had some form of connection to her, probably thought he felt entitled to her in some way or form. This is the whole phenomena that we're dealing with called the parasocial fan. And that's the danger of, you know, being in this space, being an influencer, having a community, having a squad. You have these delusional fans that think that they pretty much know you personally and you owe them your loyalty, and because they've given you theirs. It's very sad because now we can't separate what is entertainment from the person. And when we can't separate it, because we have a whole generation of people growing up online. Now, granted, this guy's 50 years old. He's just a lonely person, and that's probably why he probably felt this way. So I don't know yet. I'm just assuming, but it's just like a general thing that I've been really thinking about. We have to be very, very careful with how we see people we support. These people don't know you. You are supporting them and they're giving you service in return. There is no one-to-one relationship. There is no physical, mental, or emotional bond you have with these people. You just have to keep it separate and just keep it how it's supposed to be. This is a very unfortunate situation, and I'm sorry I'm just going on a tangent like this, but I don't like hearing things like this because we just have people that just don't understand their place in the whole process, or whatever you want to call it, of influencer to fan and fan to influencer.
And Black Cat wasn't just any fan, he was a VIP. This is a guy who would drop eye-watering amounts of donations during streams. The guy who popped up over and over again. He spent over 100 million won, which is roughly $70,000. He told everyone he was a wealthy CEO of an IT company. You know, the classic like, hey look, I'm this pompous big guy, but in reality, he was nothing. The dude was buried in debt. His house had literally been seized in a forced auction the day the incident happened. And I really do not think that's a coincidence. It sounds more like a...
I'm saying that's so sad, his whole situation, and lying that he's this big shot. I'm not saying that's so sad that he got evicted, because, you know, it's a sad situation, but knowing the context about everything that happened on that day, yeah, ain't really feeling too bad about him leaving, you know, losing his house and stuff like that.
Trigger that set him off. I mean, just from looking at the story, it's obvious he was not living a good life. He was completely living a lie. But like many people with fragile egos, and I guess way too much time on their hands, he built this whole fake identity and persona and threw money at someone to feel powerful. And eventually, Choi managed to do what a lot of these big spenders try to do: blur the lines between being a fan and someone who is directly involved with their life. He promised you...
What did I say? Have not watched this video, have not seen this news story, but it is always the same thing. It's happened one too many times.
that he could grow her audience, get her sponsorships, boost her career, and just work together. That's what he wanted. He sold himself as a guy with connections to her. And unfortunately, when you're a young creator trying to build something, that could sound like a good deal. So Yoon went along with it for a while. But apparently, Choi wasn't just invested financially. He was possessive and started demanding more and more of her. Basically, this creep started acting like a partner that Yoon never agreed to have. And eventually, Yoon had enough. She decided to cut ties. And this is where things got terrifying. Because I guess when someone like Choi feels the control slipping away, it doesn't end with a quiet unfollow. CCTV footage from that day shows him kneeling in front of her, literally begging her to stay in their partnership. And that is when the moment happened. Because at 3:24 p.m., Yoon tries to get out of the car, but she doesn't make it out. Choi grabs her, drags her back inside, and slams the door shut. And unfortunately, this is the last time she's seen alive. And then according to the eventual confession, Choi ended Yoon's life shortly after that. He then shoved her into a suitcase. So please put this guy under the prison. He then drove out to the mountains to dump her, and apparently the guy thought he was some sort of like criminal mastermind, because on the way there he stopped 8 separate times to, I guess, throw off investigators. Because, you know, there's nothing like saying, hey, I'm a criminal genius, like leaving a GPS breadcrumb trail across half the country and begging on your knees right before the crime actually happened.
He does know that like traffic lights have cameras on it too, right? So stopping doesn't really mean anything. Like,
happened. I'll call it what it is. It's pathetic, cruel, and just plain stupid. This guy is literally a Hall of Fame moron, and her body was discovered later that day. She was gone less than an hour after her final stream. So essentially, she was doing what she loved to do up until the moment someone stole everything from her. The world is just honestly, it's just so sick and twisted. This just sucks. Choi was arrested 12 hours after the body was found. He tried to play innocent at first. The whole like, oh, I don't know what happened. And then when they found the body, everything cracked. He admitted everything then. Essentially, the whole fake CEO confidence completely vanished in about 2 seconds. And this is probably because it never existed in the first place. This guy was in deep financial ruin, and he tried to, I guess, make himself feel important through donations. And when Yoon cut him off, the fantasy just completely collapsed, and he lashed out violently. This is textbook
it's just so crazy. Well, he's about to say parasocial relationship. Hold on.
Parasocial obsession. These aren't healthy, oh, I support your content vibes. This is, I bought a version of you that only exists in my head.
It's so crazy because as he is saying this, I'm kind of like drumming up some thought process that I think this dude was having. So if his house went for foreclosure and got auctioned off, and he donated about $70K to the streamer, he probably thought that he did all of that and sacrificed his livelihood because she almost wanted him to do it without her actually saying anything. So now that he's done all of that, donated all this money, and now the girl doesn't want to have anything to do with him, he just has a flashback, and it hits him all the things he just lost. So he's down on his knees, groveling, begging like, yo, I already did all this, sacrificed all this, please have me back. And she's like, I ain't never told you to do none of that. Why you do that? You told me you rich. But, you know, she don't know the backstory about him not being rich. So he's reacting like that. And when she's about to leave, and that is painting a picture of, yo, I am not having no more possession with this girl anymore. I'm not going to be in possession of her or have that one-to-one connection with her anymore. Something snapped. And he said, you know, if I can't have you, no one else could. And that is the danger of online influence. That is the danger with having fanatics that will do anything at your beck and call. That is the danger of being a public facing person. Y'all got to be careful, man. Y'all got to be careful. And for the people, fans, y'all got to understand and stop blurring the lines between fandom and personal. Y'all don't know them. Like I said, you don't know these people personally. Keep it at the enthusiasm you have for them. Keep it to what they are giving you, the service they're giving you. Don't put it onto them. I know you can support someone because you like them personally, but just keep it where it's supposed to be and don't go outside the lines.
And then I'll punish you if you step out of what I imagined you being like. Like, this is so messed up.
Yeah.
And when the news broke, South Korea was furious. Creators started sharing their own stories of obsessive fans. Big streamers, one by one, started being very worried about how they would conduct themselves in public. For example, QDC Cinderella and Valkyrie even pulled out of TwitchCon 2025, saying the case terrified them. And I see why they would be scared, especially if you're a female streamer, because this isn't a one-off thing. There's tons of nut jobs out of there. And for some reason, it just seems to be so much worse for the female streamers, because you have fans that convince themselves that they have personal relationships with someone who doesn't even know their full name. I mean, it was just earlier this year that we covered a guy who was completely convinced that he was married to Pokimane. Like, imagine the dude decided to literally go homeless and move to the same city as Pokimane because he thought he was married to her. That is horrifying.
Me and Pokimane has been dating for 4 months now. Today is our 4-month anniversary. Guys, she is not single. She is taken. I know she likes to keep up her image saying that she's single and everything, but I am in a relationship with her. We're going to be meeting up soon.
And on the surface level, looking at this, you would want to laugh, but you got to just understand that these people are going through mental episodes. So there is some form of grace and some form of empathy. Like, you have to show these people. Now, once they commit the crime, are they irredeemable? It's like no one is irredeemable, because as a Christian, we have to believe that Jesus Christ's sacrifice gives us multiple chances when we want for salvation and to turn away from sinful desires and sinful things. But man, it's very unfortunate that things like this happen and we just like think of it as any other Tuesday. This 27-year-old Korean streamer just did what she did like any other day, and she didn't know when she hit that button to stop recording that would be the last time she did what she enjoyed to do.
And we're engaged, guys. We're engaged. That's why we definitely have to discuss things. We'll be getting married soon, very soon. And we will definitely stream it and let you guys know when it's happening and everything.
You absolutely do not want a person like that anywhere near that streamer, because clearly these guys don't even see these women as people. They're just fantasy material that they've made up in their own head. They might start with donations, but then apparently they push for contact and then control. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy they've built, apparently things get violent. And we saw this also in Japan, as I mentioned earlier. You had Ari Sato, a 22-year-old YouTuber. She had her life ended while live streaming on the street in Tokyo. It's just so disgusting that this is happening somewhat regularly now. Because in this case, she was walking alone streaming on Who Watch. Then a man approached her, who I guess had lent her money, tracked her down through her stream, and then attacked her in broad daylight. Viewers heard her scream before the feed cut out. And the suspect, Kenji Takano, had followed her online for years. He literally hopped on a train from Oyama to Shinjuku just to do this. And the reason was a financial dispute. He'd given her money when he expected something in return. When he didn't get it...
Was it a donation, or he actually lent her some money?
He chose violence. And I'm really interested in what the specific details on this was, because I severely doubt a streamer would just randomly loan money from a viewer. But unfortunately, this sounds pretty similar to what happened to Yoon now.
Man, it's another thing, man. Do we need to start having a conversation about IRL streaming? I think there needs to be a conversation to be had. And it's really just for the safety of the streamer. Because if you are IRL streaming, like in real time, like you're live, people know where you're at. Again, I've told my friends this. I told one of my friends this. I've said, in 2025, I will not be giving the audience the benefit of the doubt towards anything. Treat your audience like they're one screw loose away from being possessive, because people are not able to think for themselves like they used to before. They have to follow a group. There's so much tribalism. Go on Twitter, you just see it. There's so much tribalism. There is so much groupthink. And if you deviate from that groupthink, you are a target. And in this case with streamers, if you don't fulfill their inner fantasy or their inner possession, you are a target. So I will say this, as people who create content, as people who have an audience, guys, girls, please take every precaution to be safe. and audience too, please just keep everything as it's supposed to be. Separate the personal from the enjoyment of the service they give you. Please. And I know I say I'm not giving the audience the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying it as like a protective measure. I understand like 85% of the audience have some common sense, but that 15% ruins it for the rest of the bunch. Let's be honest.
And it's sad because every year more creators builds huge audiences, and every year there's another obsessed fan who convinces themselves that money equals ownership. And when the reality just doesn't match up with their fantasy, they explode. And this is just entitlement masked as support. And what really makes it worse is how this happens slowly. You probably didn't look at Choi and think, oh, this guy is dangerous. But then slowly but surely, he became extremely dangerous. Because the dude was donating huge sums. He promised her business opportunities, he was flattering, and slowly those things just turned into complete control. And here's the heartbreaking part. Yoon knew something was wrong. Her family said that she expressed fear about his behavior in days leading up to the event. And unfortunately, when she tried to walk away, he chose to just end her life. On paper, Choi probably looked like the kind of success story that these platforms love to glorify. He seemed to be this big spender and big supporter, but behind the scenes, this guy was clearly living in financial ruin. And what's also extremely shocking about this is this guy seemingly donated so much money that he ended up losing his house. And
You know, another thing that I've always been thinking about, like if I were to ever pop off, let's say my main channel, my animation channel pops off, and I'm getting all these emails and all these like requests to be under some agency and have a manager and all of these things. I mean, now it's going to be different circumstances. I'm not a girl, I'm not a woman, but you have to understand vetting is one of the biggest things you have to do. Like, honestly, you should check their credentials, check who they are in business with, check who they are managing, check who they have helped. And it's almost like a proof of concept type of thing. So that's one way you can like kind of vet people and understand, okay, maybe you're not getting into a sketchy situation. I'm not saying that she didn't do any of that. I'm just saying, just in general, for anybody there watching, just, you know, make sure you're vetting people and make sure you're doing what you got to do.
I think his actions against her was just that total result of his entire fake identity collapsing, and he'd rather just destroy everything than face that. But obviously there's this one detail to this case that really stuck with a lot of people, and that's the suitcase. Because the suitcase alone gives room to argue that this was definitely premeditated. He begged for her to stay, she said no, and he had already prepared for what to do.
Well, technically, he did get evicted from his house, or his house got auctioned off, so he probably was living out of a suitcase. That could be a thing. I'm just throwing another alternative reason why the suitcase is there, but it was probably premeditated. If he knew she was gonna dump him and throw him by the roadside, and you know, all that.
Do if she said no. And from everything I see online, Yoon's death sent a shockwave through Korea's streaming world. Creators started hiring extra security, tightening their boundaries, and rethinking meetups and business deals. It's just a massive tragedy because the reality is Yoon should have still been alive.
Facts.
And I know some people will say, well, she should have known. But I don't think she should have, honestly. Like, let's be clear. Like, she didn't owe him anything. Yeah. She didn't have to play therapist to someone who lied about everything and was clearly a complete wreck of a person. This is not her fault. Obviously, she could have been more careful, but this is still not her fault.
Yeah, her getting murdered is not her fault, but you should just, in a general sense, just be very aware, be very curious of people. I'm not gonna lie, people might not have the best intentions like initially or ever, really, some people. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave the video there. I'll put the full video in the description. Let me know what you guys think about the video. This is a sad situation. I think I've said everything I've had to say. I'll just reiterate it. Fans, the people who you support, they don't know you. This blind loyalty you have towards people, you need to stop. They don't know you. It's cool to support people. It's cool to like support them in anything they do. It's cool. But keep it where it's supposed to be kept. Don't take that thing personal. Don't have this ownership or possession over people you don't know. And just keep it kosher. Streamers, creators, be careful. Maybe you need to like slow down on the IRL streaming because You just don't know who's out there trying to make you a target. I don't know. That's just what I would say. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and do all that stuff. Please sub as well. I will see you guys in the next one. God bless. Remember to keep God first in every and anything you do. Remember, we are saved through faith, by grace, and not by works, lest any man shall boast. See you guys in the next one. Peace.